Hello everyone, my name is Kitty Spiderweb and welcome to a new documentary. Love is in the air, and I want to formally invite you all to be my Valentine as we reminisce on a very lovely event in Star Stable Online. The event, of course, being Valentine's Day. It is no secret that we haven't celebrated Valentine's Day for nearly 4 years now, leading many players to wonder why it departed from Jorvik in the first place. Well, today we'll be taking a deeper look into the event's history and possible controversy it created for the game. So grab your chocolates, and let's begin exploring the history of Valentine's Day in Star Stable Online. Jorvik's very first Valentine's Day event was hosted on February 13th, 2013, approximately 8 months after the game's worldwide release. Players had waited patiently behind those familiar stable doors for their game to update, slowly processing all of the new Valentine's Day activities and decorations Star Stable had added specially for this week. Upon logging in, players were notified that they had received a letter. Conveniently, we were already heading towards the post office in Silverglade Village to begin the new Valentine's Day quests with Derek. Once we reached the village, we quickly check our mailbox for this unexpected envelope. Inside was a letter containing an adorable pink blouse, addressed to us from our starter horse. I love this surprise so much. Something I appreciate about Old Star Stable is all of the creative ways the developers displayed the bond we share with our first horse. Now, if they could just get an update, that would be great. Once we equipped our new Valentine's Day themed top, we encountered Derek in a bit of a dilemma. He explains to us that while he was preparing to deliver the townspeople's Valentine's Day mail, a gust of wind blew through the village and carried the letters away. In the spirit of Valentine's Day, we decide to help our friend out with his predicament. We begin to search the village for 10 missing love letters, all hiding in inconspicuous places. After we have collected all 10 letters, we bring them back to Derek as he prepares to give us our next task. Having the letters go missing really set his delivery schedule back. He doesn't have time to deliver all of the letters on his own. We understand Derek's setback and agree to help him out by delivering the letters personally. Our first recipient is none other than the Baroness of Silverglade, who is quite surprised to receive such a letter. Probably because Miss Girl has had a pretty messy love life, but reads it aloud nonetheless. It appears that the self-proclaimed King of Fort Pinta Disco has written to the Baroness, explaining that it has been nearly 40 years since they have shared a dance at Fort Pinta. Ambitiously, the king invites the Baroness to join him at the disco to, and I quote, show the youngsters what real dancing looks like. And perhaps afterwards, he would have the honor of escorting her home? For those who have kept a close eye on the dialogue while questing, will remember that the King of Fort Pinta Disco is none other than Jasper Holbrook himself. We first had the pleasure of experiencing Jasper's undeniable talent for dancing during a previous questline where we must perform a rain dance to save Golden Hills Valley. Jasper gave us an example of his superior dancing skills while telling us the story of how he was given the title King of Fort Pinta Disco. He claims that once he hit the dance floor, everyone would give way. In this quest, Jasper once again mentions how he plans to invite the Baroness for an evening of dancing before inevitably throwing his back out right in front of us, expressing gratitude for his cane. Circling back to the Baroness's response to this Valentine's Day invitation, She finds the offer tempting, but has her reputation to consider. After giving it some thought, the Baroness decides to go incognito for a night of dancing under the spotlights with Jasper. She writes a short response for us to deliver back to Derek, but before we return to the post office, we take a ride down to Moreland for our next Valentine's Day delivery. This letter is addressed to our dear friend, Mrs. Holdsworth, from a secret admirer. Once she opens the card, we come to find out it was written by one of her childhood friends here on Jorvik. This person has always admired Mrs. Holdsworth from afar, never having the courage to contact her despite living so close to each other. Mrs. Holdsworth took a job as an accountant for the Moreland family and has spent most of her days in the quaint southern Norwegian town, whereas this secret admirer took a job on the council in Silverglade, so close yet so far away. Having spent many Valentine's days around the sun, this secret admirer wants to take the opportunity to finally reach out to Mrs. Holdsworth before they both grow too old. Before closing the letter, Mrs. Holdsworth's secret admirer confesses their true feelings about her. I need you to know that you are my everything. Let me know how you feel, my little dandelion, writes the childhood friend. I think this is an adorable detail, as we have come to recognize that Mrs. Holdsworth's favorite flower is indeed a dandelion. These gorgeous yellow flowers grow right outside her little red cottage and are a key component in most of her quests. The secret admirer reveals themselves by signing the letter, Your Gilbert, Silverglade's councilman. We can't help but feel our hearts melt coming to the realization that two of our closest friends, Mrs. Holdsworth and the Silverglade councilman, share feelings for one another. This quest was the first time it was brought to our attention that Mrs. Holdsworth and the Silverglade councilman went to school together during their childhood, as well as the fact that the councilman has been in love with Mrs. Holdsworth all of these years. I become so excited when event-exclusive quests drop undiscovered lore about some of our favorite characters and places on Jorvik. Plus, I didn't even know the councilman's real name was Gilbert. This Valentine's letter has given Mrs. Holdsworth a feeling of uncertainty, confiding in us that she always had a suspicion that Gilbert was in love with her. Contemplating this offer, she finally decides to give the man a chance after all of these years. Now that he has grown up, gotten a job, and a pretty nice hairstyle. What's left of it anyway. Mrs. Holdsworth responds with a written invitation to coffee at her seaside cottage, an opportunity to catch up and reminisce on old times. She entrusts us with her letter to the councilman, wishing us safe travels as we ride back to Silverglade. We make one last stop at Marley's farm for our final Valentine's Day delivery, the recipient being none other than Marley himself. He is happy as always to see us, but is surprised that we brought him a letter, claiming that he doesn't receive mail very often at his farm. Marley opens the letter, only to discover that it was written to him by his brother Barney. Barney confesses how much he misses Marley, as well as their little brother Carney. They don't see each other very often, despite all living in Silverglade. After this year's harvest, Barney wants to invite his brothers to his silo for a family reunion, in honor of their late father, Ronnie Bob Summers, and the 10-year anniversary of his passing. Barney writes in the letter how it would pain their father to see how far the brothers have grown apart, wishing to leave all of the old arguments in the past and let this reunion be a new start for their family. Now, you may recognize the name Ronnie Bob Summers, whether it be a memory from 5 years ago or 15 years ago. If the name isn't familiar to you, however, we've already established that he is the father of brothers Marley, Barney, and Carney, as well as a fourth sibling, Courtney. Courtney would make her introduction in a 2014 questline where we must assist the Baroness's cousin, Carl Franz, in establishing a Michelin star restaurant at the Silverglade Manor. After we help Carl gather all of the necessary furniture and cookware for his restaurant, he is met with a dilemma in his plan. Where is he going to get a chef able to serve award-winning dishes that make every other restaurant in Jorvik die of envy? We suggest inquiring with the Summers brothers, beginning with the closest to the restaurant, Carney. He firmly rejects our offer to work as a chef, claiming that his father would spin in his grave seeing him work in a restaurant. Carney proceeds to say it had been 8 years since his father had passed away. But if he saw him work in a kitchen, he would have died of a heart attack much sooner. Okay, now to go ask Barney, who we have come to recognize for his culinary skills in previous quests, so we may be on the right track. Barney claims that he is much better than Carney at cooking, but becoming a chef isn't something that interests him at the moment. He suggests we go speak with Marley, explaining that he is a better cook than both brothers combined. Barney explains Marley's love of cooking was a shared interest between him and their father, an interest he had lost 15 years ago when their father passed away. This is getting too confusing. Let's go see what Marley has to say about all of this. We give Marley the proposition to become a chef at the new restaurant, but he solemnly refuses, explaining that it would be too emotional for him since their father died a year ago. Seriously? What am I supposed to believe anymore? There is one last hope in the Summers family, Marley's sister Courtney. He insists we go ask her, as she is the best cook in the family. We ride into Silverglade Village and find Courtney's townhouse, gently knocking on the door before being greeted by Courtney herself. After properly introducing ourselves, we offer her to join the Silver Fork restaurant as a chef, to which she immediately agrees, claiming she has the education and talent for it. Later on, hijinks ensue between Carl and Courtney, as it seems that they may have developed feelings for one another. But towards the end of the quest, Courtney makes an interesting remark. If only my father could see me now, restaurant owner. We express our condolences to Courtney, leaving her confused. She claims that her father is not dead and that she had just spoken to him last week. Or was it last year? You can't kill off Ronnie Bob Summers that easily, she says. So, tell me, my friends, which scenario are we possibly supposed to believe? Well, luckily, I think I have gathered a bit of context. In 2009's Star Stable, The Spring Riders, a CD-ROM series that preludes Star Stable Online, we meet a stable hand that lives in a small coastal town called Bay Ridge, located in northwestern Jorvik. An area unfamiliar to most Star Stable Online players, as we cannot yet see the full, extended map of Jorvik in-game. This stable hand is involved in a handful of quests, which is how we come to find out his name, Ronnie Bob Summers. During one of our encounters with Ronnie Bob, he explains to us that he is planning to visit a friend tonight, but needs someone to look after his baby son. In this dialogue, we learn that Ronnie Bob is raising his infant son, Joseph, as a single father, and has hired a babysitter in the mountains to watch over him for tonight. Ronnie Bob asks that we deliver Joseph to his babysitter, Miss Morse. We kindly accept this request and begin heading for the mountains. In all honesty, the Season Riders series is not meant to be canonical in any way, as it was developed purely as an experiment to see if an open-world horse game would succeed. Therefore, I should probably take this Ronnie Bob Summers character with a grain of salt, since he exists in a universe that isn't necessarily real. But something still doesn't sit right with me. In the restaurant questline we delved into earlier, all of the siblings mention their father by name, which wouldn't be necessary if the writers were just trying to make us laugh at the fact that this family seems so disconnected from one another, they can't even remember when their dad passed away, or if he's dead at all. But for whatever reason, the writers did end up giving the siblings' father a name, and it just so happens to be aligned with a pre-existing character in the same universe. This isn't the first season writer's character that made their way into Star Stable Online. Mr. K. Trout, leader of the Norwegian Fishing Club, actually originated from the second installment of the CD-ROM series, The Winter Riders. I think Star Stable intentionally planted Ronnie Bob Summers into this story. From my understanding, Ronnie Bob is not deceased, but rather vanished from his home in Silverglade and migrated to northern Jorvik, where he became the owner of Bay Ridge Stables and had an infant son, all while keeping his children in the dark about why he left Silverglade, leading the siblings to believe that he had died. This mystery continued for over 8 years, and each Valentine's Day was a reminder of this unconcluded storyline. Until Star Stable themselves put the theories to rest. A quest involving the Summers siblings was released in early 2022, in which Marley hosts a memorial service for his late father at the farm, inviting his siblings to pay tribute. One of our closest friends, as well as a renowned mechanic, Big Bonnie, also plays a big part in this questline, as she has fled to Marley's farm to peacefully video chat an old friend. Big Bonnie is determined to help her friend out with a recurring problem they seem to be having. People keep sending them flowers for no apparent reason. The peace and quiet Big Bonnie was searching for seems to not be available at Marley's farm, as amidst the siblings' tributes to their late father, a man's voice could be heard from Big Bonnie's laptop, pleading for the siblings to stop telling everybody that he is dead. Yes, this means that Big Bonnie's old friend is indeed the mysterious Ronnie Bob Summers. Big Bonnie feels like she owes the siblings an explanation of their father's whereabouts, but unfortunately, there are not enough hours in the day for that story. Instead, she reassures them that he is indeed alive and well. The quest concludes with Big Bonnie telling us she has no idea why the siblings thought that their father had died, claiming that she may have to adjust their memories later on, implying that the Summers siblings are robots. Okay, that was a lot to take in, but I couldn't help myself diving into obscure lore and theories. Let's resume our journey through Valentine's Day 2013. After Marley finishes that very touching letter from his brother Carney, he quickly composes a response for us to give to Derek. Once we have completed our Valentine's Day deliveries, we head back to the post office and hand all of the responses over to Derek. He can't thank us enough for all of our help today, and before parting ways, he mentions a mysterious package that showed up at the post office. Addressed to us from a secret admirer. The package contains an adorable, heart-patterned purple saddlebag, perfect for our furry companions to ride along with us during our Valentine's Day adventures. This heartwarming questline with Derek became a Valentine's Day tradition, as it was reinvited every year for players new and old to participate in. And to keep things interesting, the Valentine's gift from our secret admirer would change each year. In 2013, we received the heart-patterned purple saddlebag. In 2014, we were given a red and white saddlebag with black polka dots. In 2015, our secret admirer gave us a beautiful pink dress. In 2016, we were surprised with a white sweater that had a giant pink heart on it. The very first Valentine's Day celebration in Star Stable Online was quite underwhelming in comparison to how amazing it would become in the following years. But before we explore 2014's Valentine's Day, I just want to mention the Valentine's themed dance party that Star Stable hosted at Fort Pinta Disco. Star Stable invited the community the following weekend for a chance to dance with friends at the Fort Pinta Disco, as it had been specially decorated for Valentine's Day. The team advised us to take plenty of pictures and post them on Facebook for a chance to be featured on Star Stable's official page. After we had danced the night away, it was time to begin looking towards the future and contemplate what Star Stable has in store for next year's Valentine's Day event. Valentine's Day returned to Jorvik on February 12th, 2014. Derek's Valentine's letters had once again been misplaced, leading us to scavenge the village for the 10 missing letters. Once we return the letters to Derek, we replay last year's mission of delivering Valentine's Day letters to 3 recipients: Marley, the Baroness, and Mrs. Holdsworth. Only this time, we received a different reward from our secret admirer: a red and white with black polka dots saddlebag. Oddly enough, it matches perfectly with a Valentine's Day exclusive tack set that was released in the brand new Valentine shop. The Valentine shop made its first appearance in 2014. The shop included our login bonus gift from last year, the pink blouse, available for purchase to whoever missed out. Some sweet treats to share with your friends were also available in the shop, as well as a pair of stylish red glasses, the brand new Valentine's Day exclusive tag set, and much more. This allowed players to truly get into the Valentine's Day spirit now that they had the opportunity to dress the part. This year, Star Stable truly wanted to extend our Valentine's Day celebrations and take advantage of all 7 days the event is active. And they had just the idea. Once we had delivered the Valentine's letters to our 3 recipients, Derek asked that we return the following day for a special assignment. After 24 hours had passed, we make our way back into Silverglade Village to speak with Derek about our next mission. He asks us if we're able to help him find the missing Valentine's letters that have traveled far beyond Silverglade Village. It should be a much easier task for us to complete on horseback. We agree to help the mailman in his dilemma, and eventually, 9 letters spawn in obscure places all around the island. Once you reach an area containing a missing Valentine's letter, a message will appear on your screen notifying you that you are close to a missing letter. All of the Valentine's letters are written anonymously, so once we find a missing letter, we must be a little nosy and read the message inside to get a clue of who the recipient is. Allow me to read some of my favorite messages written inside these Valentine's letters. You are my best friend. Thank you for always being there for me, especially when more dorky horse girls come to Moorland wanting to ride our fine courses. If I was the only one who had to keep them all under control, I'd go crazy. Bobcat girls forever. According to the message, it is clear as day that this letter was sent from Loretta to Tan, which is really heartwarming, seeing as Loretta can appear to be a cold and pretentious person, but so kind and grateful towards her best friend. This next letter was found on the pier by Moorland Beach, the last place we saw Justin before he departed Jorvik on a dark core freighter. Thank you, Dad. You raised me all by yourself, and I know that must have been hard. Especially the last few years. Thanks to you, I know I'll always have a place to come home to. I have no time to write more. I have promised to meet one Mr. Sands who's gonna show me something exciting. I wonder what it can be. I love you, Dad. Just wanted to tell you. Such a sweet message with a sorrowful undertone. If only he knew what he was getting himself into. After taking a moment to read the letter, we immediately deliver it to Thomas. Another Valentine's letter can be found caught in the wind near Valedale. We open the letter to read, Dearest you, our work together has truly been brilliant. You were magnificent when you helped Kitty save that waterfall. I hope you'll let me see your face one day. I'm certain that there's a wonderful person underneath that cowl. For our future, your favorite little druid. Judging by the sweet words strung together in the message, I'm guessing that this Valentine's letter was written by Elizabeth to Avalon. It's a little somber looking back on this message, but nice to remember Elizabeth for who she truly was. Someone who would constantly look out for her friends. And now to mention undoubtedly the most relatable and iconic Valentine's letter found near a GED worksite in Goldspur Farm. I was wondering who I was going to send a Valentine's card, and the only one I could think of that I want to show any kind of appreciation to is you. You're the best. You're the most beautiful. When I see myself in the mirror, I'm always taken aback by your lovely blonde hair and how good you look in black. Thank you, myself. Stumbling upon this Valentine's letter would always get a laugh out of me, and it was quite obvious which person with lovely blonde hair and an affinity for black would write this. We do miss Drake the favor of delivering this Valentine's letter to her doorstep in Jarlheim, but we must hurry along before she fires us on the spot. Apart from the brand new daily activity of searching for missing letters around Jorvik, the opening of the Valentine shop, and the return of the original Valentine's Day questline with Derek, Star Stable managed to decorate all of the villages and stables on Jorvik with adorable Valentine's Day themed decorations. Red lanterns were hung from tree branches, pink heart garland was draped across stable entrances, roses were planted in the courtyards, cozy red and gold candles were lit around the houses, and my favorite detail, little hearts were found ascending from the fountains and wells. 2014 came with a lot of firsts for our beloved Valentine's Day, which only enhanced the event and established some new, memorable traditions that players were already looking forward to commemorating next year. After a few weeks filled with geocaching, fjord horses, and icebergs to start off the new year, Valentine's Day eventually returned on February 12th, 2015. Star Stable began this year's Valentine's Day celebration with a very generous gift to the players: 200 free star coins. The currency will soon come in handy for what fuzzy surprises await us a week later. This year's Valentine's Day event brought us not one, but 2 new quest lines with some familiar faces on the island. Donald, the renowned seamstress that resides in Silverglade Village, seems to be caught up in quite the dilemma. A number of townspeople ordered custom clothes and plushies from him for Valentine's Day. But whether it be his disorganized list of orders or insufficient materials, he just can't seem to do this on his own. Which is where we come in. To get Donald back on track, we collect various materials from across the island for his craft, such as grapes from the Silverglade vineyard to use as purple dye, and dandelions from Mrs. Holdsworth's garden for a yellow dye. We also call upon the shepherd, Landon, for some high-quality wool. By helping Donald out, we receive our own pink teddy bear to hold in our saddlebag. Our next Valentine's mission is located in Jarlaheim, where we must come to the rescue of Catherine the Baker, who is a self-proclaimed Valentine's Day fanatic. Catherine explains how she is attempting to create a romantic atmosphere in her cafe, but needs an extra pair of hands to help execute her crafty Valentine's Day vision. We wind up helping Catherine create some lovely DIY Valentine's Day decorations, like cutting out little red hearts to paste on the cafe menus. We then place candles on each table in the cafe, creating a romantic and cozy environment for the future guests. Besides decorating the cafe, Catherine asks that we retrieve the ingredients needed to bake her famous Valentine's Day treats, which takes us on a journey through the harvest counties, where we must inquire various characters if we could borrow eggs from their hen house and milk from their cows. Instead of these new Valentine's Day missions being a one-and-done sort of activity, Star Stable actually established temporary mini-factions for both Catherine and Donald, meaning that every day you could return to these characters and complete daily tasks like collecting wool for Donald or gathering eggs for Catherine, which would build reputation for these temporary factions. Of course, it wasn't necessary unless you wanted the limited edition rewards and character XP. This was just another way that Star Stable helped to keep us engaged, for every day the Valentine's event was active. One of my favorite details from the new Valentine's Day quests is that once you've collected the baking ingredients for Catherine, you could actually buy the limited edition pastries in the cafe. Aside from all of the fun new quests and rewards we received from this year's Valentine's Day, Star Stable also released some adorable new horses. A buckskin Morgan and a dappled gray Morab were made available for purchase at the Silverglade Vineyard, as well as a new chestnut Sail Francais found in Valedale. A variety of new items were also added to the Valentine's Day shop, such as floral accessories for your horse and gorgeous dresses for your character. Players noticed that alongside last year's Valentine's Day decorations, Star Stable added adorable heart-shaped balloons in select areas of the map. The following Wednesday, we were gifted with an extra week of Valentine's Day fun. This was the first time the Valentine's Day event would be hosted for 2 weeks instead of 1. Despite the holiday ending just 4 days prior, players were still excited as ever to continue the Valentine's Day celebrations, especially given the fact that this additional week gave us an unforgettable surprise. Star Stable had introduced us to a brand new Valentine's shop that specializes in one item in particular: teddy bears. For a certain amount of star coins, you could adopt your very own teddy bear to accompany you while riding around the island. These exclusive Valentine's Day teddy bears came out in a variety of colors to match all of your different outfits. Their prices ranged from 19 star coins to 249 star coins. Have you been wondering about Derek's whereabouts this Valentine's Day season? Maybe he's finally decided to pack all of his mail orders indoors after so much conflict with the wind. Well, I hate to break it to you, but following the second week of the Valentine's Day event, Derek is once again in need of our assistance. At least we get a brand new reward from our secret admirer for completing this traditionary questline. And that concludes the Valentine's Day event for 2015. It is amazing to see how far the event has come in just 2 years. As it stands now, it truly feels like the event is more complete. Players seemed satisfied throughout every day the event was active, especially with that surprise extension. Now we're heading into 2016, which in my opinion was a pretty remarkable year for events in Star Stable. But we only began to realize it years later. If only we knew that we would be saying goodbye to Valentine's Day as we know it. Valentine's Day returned to Jorvik on February 10th, 2016, bringing all of our favorite activities along with it. The Valentine's Day shops were reassembled around the island for all of our fashionable needs, including the adorable teddy bear shop from last year. During the first week, Catherine and Donald once again needed our assistance for their Valentine's Day related dilemmas. These quest lines are identical to last year, but we received new rewards for coming to their rescue. Valentine's Day in Star Stable is once again celebrated for 2 weeks instead of 1, similar to most other events in this era. The following week reinvites all the activities surrounding Derek's missing love letters, with brand new rewards, of course. Nothing notable was changed or added to the event this year, but players were still incredibly grateful for the opportunity to celebrate one of their favorite events once more. It wasn't until the following year when we would start to see some remarkable changes being made to the Valentine's Day event. On February 15th, 2017, Valentine's Day returned in an unfamiliar fashion. The Wednesday news article advised us to visit Jorvik Stables of all places to begin our Valentine's Day celebrations. There, we would be met with a new NPC, a racekeeper, who goes by the name Love Westberg. She is a true believer in the power of friendship and has organized a race that celebrates the concept. In order to participate in her race, you must be in a group with 1 or more players. Once your group completes the race, Love rewards you all with a red friendship heart that is exchangeable for Valentine's Day prizes. Love's prizes were chosen at random, so you can imagine players were determined to complete this race every day for a chance to collect all of the rewards. The most desirable prize was a box of Valentine's Day chocolates for your saddlebag. I love how this new race managed to bring the community together. I had never seen Jorvik Stables so busy around this time. My only concerns for this activity is regarding players who are located on relatively empty servers and regions, and their accessibility for completing the friendship race. I still have this concern about the daily races held during the Equestrian Festival, but we'll touch on that another day. As per Valentine's Day tradition, Catherine and Donald's quests returned for the 3rd year in a row. Derek's quest followed the week after, and all of our favorite Valentine's Day items returned to the shops, including the snuggly teddy bears. Players noticed an update in decorations as well, which in my opinion is a crucial part in celebrating the holiday properly. 2017 was undoubtedly an experimental year for Valentine's Day, as from here on out, we begin transitioning into a new era for the event. The first week of Valentine's Day 2018 falls perfectly on February the 14th, and everyone's favorite racekeeper, Love Westberg, returned to Jorvik. Players eagerly encouraged each other to team up and complete Love's race for a chance to obtain rewards from her basket that they may have missed from the year before. This year, Star Stable decided to make some changes to the traditional quest lineup. For the first time since 2014, Derek requested for our assistance in distributing the Valentine's Day mail during the opening week. It's nice to have Star Stable's longest-running Valentine's Day tradition back in the spotlight again. But you can't help but wonder, where are Donald and Catherine? Once the second week of Valentine's Day was upon us, it became clear that they would not be making an appearance this year. Their absence not only made the event seem less and less familiar, but also gave the players fewer activities to do. Star Stable attempted to make up for Donald and Catherine's surprise departure by introducing a new Valentine's Day show jumping race at Jorvik Stables. Unlike Love's previous cross-country race, you can participate in this one on your own. Love will also reward you with 750 horse XP for completing the race. This is a kind gesture, but a race doesn't keep us nearly as busy as two well-established quest lines, no matter how adorable the jumps may look. Controversy was also created this year regarding the exclusive Valentine's Day shop, as Star Stable had released a brand new clothing set for our rider, and the prices were a bit problematic, to say the least. Up until this year, every item in the Valentine's Day shop ranged from 5-star coins to 85-star coins. As for this new set, 85-star coins won't even cover the cost of gloves for your character. Not a single item from the new set was available for purchase using Jorvik shillings either, meaning you had to pay the whopping price of 416 star coins if you wanted to wear this new set. The clothes were beautiful and unlike anything we had ever seen before, but I personally couldn't justify the price. What's worse is that this started to become a trend for other events in the future as well. Luckily, Star Stable did give us a free redeem code worth 200 star coins in celebration of Valentine's Day, which would at least cover half the cost of the new clothing set. This year's Valentine's Day surprised us at every turn, and after seeing what happened to the Christmas event just a few months earlier, players began to doubt the future of Valentine's Day as well. Valentine's Day returns to Jorvik on February 13th, 2019. This year, the event is scheduled for 1 week only, and they seem to make the most of it. To start off this lovely event, Star Stable invites us to participate in an in-game scavenger hunt for redeem codes. Once all of the redeem codes were located, players ended up redeeming a total of 200 star coins. I personally think this is a very fun and creative way of releasing redeem codes. A new Western-themed Valentine's Day clothing set was made available in exchange for friendship hearts with Love Westberg, totally free of charge. In order for players to obtain friendship hearts, they must complete Love Westberg's daily Valentine's races or help Derek find his missing love letters. Similar to 2015, 4 brand new horses were released on the same day, all new variations of the beloved Jorvik Warmblood. This year's Valentine's Day was certainly an improvement from the previous year. Having the opportunity to collect a full Valentine's Day outfit for free was very generous. And embarking on a scavenger hunt for a redeem code was a super fun and unique experience. So much has changed about the Valentine's Day event since 2013, and the game in general, but it was reassuring to know that Star Stable was still trying to keep the event fun and engaging for the players. But all good things must come to an end eventually. On February 12th, 2020, the community woke up to a very surprising news article. It would appear that Valentine's Day was being replaced by a new event, Galentine's Day. While this new event may sound similar to Valentine's Day, it couldn't feel any less familiar. The traditional decorations were gone, and so was Derek's annual Valentine's Day quest. The only activities to make a return from the previous year was Love Westberg's friendship races. They had become the center of the event because, well, there wasn't anything else to do. Players were able to obtain a total of 2 friendship hearts per day by completing Love's races, and you could exchange your friendship hearts for the new Galentine's Day outfit. On our character's Galentine's Day shirt, the print read BFF, which truly solidified the fact that our beloved event's theme had been changed forever. Galentine's Day was scheduled to last for 2 weeks, and by the time the event came to a close, you would hardly see anybody at Jorvik Stables. It's understandable for a new event to be a little underwhelming its first year. Valentine's Day in 2013 only had 1 activity as well. We all told ourselves that Star Stable would surely make a plan to elevate the Galentine's Day event next year. But it never happened. February 10th, 2021 was the last mention of Valentine's Day in Star Stable Online. Love was gone, and the only feature to make a return was the Valentine's Day shop. A singular booth was established in Moorland, giving players the opportunity to shop all of their favorite Valentine's Day items from years before. Which, looking back, didn't even seem necessary since all of the items got moved to the global store anyway. The following week, the Valentine's Day shop departed Jorvik for the very last time. It has now been 4 years since the last mention of Valentine's Day in Star Stable Online, and it's gotten to where new players are shocked to discover they even celebrated the event at one point. But for us old players, we're still left wondering why the event had to end in the first place. A consistent theory is that Valentine's Day was removed because the event promotes romance in a game directed towards adolescents. I have to say, this is a valid concern, especially since Star Stable has really put their foot down about advertising romantic roleplay in-game. It probably got to a point where Star Stable was fed up with all of the angry emails from parents saying that Valentine's Day is inappropriate for a children's game. But the way Star Stable approached Valentine's Day back then was not to promote romance. If we take a look at the material from the event, such as Derek's missing love letters, you'll notice that most of these letters were not sent between 2 lovers, but rather friends and family. Barney sent a love letter to his brother, Marley. Loretta sent a love letter to her best friend, Tan. Justin sent a love letter to his father, Thomas. Even our beloved starter horse sent us a love letter during the first Valentine's Day event. And if these angry parents took a moment to examine the content included in the event, instead of just looking at it from a surface level, they would understand that this event is not problematic. It would be different if Valentine's Day activities included our character going on a blind date with different people on Jorvik, which would be promoting romantic relations. But that obviously never happened. Valentine's Day has always been about the love and unity of the island, teaching children about how love can sometimes be complicated, and to always help a friend in need. Star Stable has loosely responded to questions regarding the whereabouts of Valentine's Day, with a variety of answers along the lines of, "We're not doing that anymore," or "We want to make events more inclusive," and we want to focus on the Spring Festival instead. And while I am grateful that they are still devoting time to special events, these seasonal festivals just do not compare to all of the events we have lost. Another speculation amongst the community is that Star Stable simply do not have the resources to justify implementing such short events to the game anymore. Whether it be their alleged outdated software or lack of employees to help manage more than one project at a time. Again, this is all just speculation, and the community can't help but speculate because we have been given such mixed messages on why this event, amongst others, were discontinued in the first place. The reason why the community fell in love with these events in the first place is because when we were younger, Star Stable was so addictive that it was almost like a replacement for real life. While there definitely is an element of fantasy in the game, it's almost like a simulation of reality. We can dress our characters very similarly to how we dress in real life. We can go to cafes and parties, take a bus to the city, and let's not forget that a majority of the community signed up for this game because they could not have a horse in real life. For some players, Star Stable was their only chance to celebrate a specific holiday. If your family couldn't afford Christmas presents this year, you knew that at least Star Stable would give us free redeem codes, clothes, and pets for the holiday. Some players don't celebrate holidays such as Easter or St. Patrick's Day in real life for religious reasons, but we're grateful for the opportunity to celebrate these events in Jorvik. If your family's annual beach trip was unexpectedly cancelled, at least you could join your friends at the Fort Pinta Beach Party every summer for a night of dancing and releasing lanterns into the sky. I had a friend that would spend a lot of time in the hospital. In one year, they couldn't go trick-or-treating, but we're grateful that they had their laptop to play with their friends during Star Stable's awesome Halloween event. Star Stable is a huge source of escapism and comfort. When reality is less than ideal, you could always count on a trip to Jorvik for a boost of serotonin. I can't help but feel as of lately, Star Stable is stepping away from the realism it once possessed, seeming less and less like a simulation of real life. It's making it more difficult for players to immerse themselves in the world of Jorvik, because without realism, it is easier for the mind to tell the difference between reality and video game. This is a choice Star Stable is entitled to make, if they want to take the game in a totally different direction. I'm just here to highlight how well their past methodology has worked compared to the present, through the experiences and thoughts of the game's most dedicated players, those who are watching this video right now. That is all I have for you today, love bugs. I'm very curious to hear what your favorite year was for Valentine's Day. Thank you so much for joining me on this trip down memory lane. And if this is your first time watching one of my documentaries, consider subscribing for more nostalgic Star Stable content. I also have a very special announcement. Drumroll please! I have officially opened my own Ko-Fi page. If you liked the reshade preset I used in this video today, you can find it in the shop on my Ko-Fi page. All of my links will be available in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all soon. This has been Kitty Spiderweb, signing out.